Hello everybody, I'm Josh Pose and welcome to the Toss-Up. The leaves are falling, the air's getting crisp, you can feel it. October is here, and while everything's cooling down, one thing isn't. Yeah, that's postseason baseball. From 15-inning thrillers to wild plays, the stakes could not be higher. Will the Dodgers claim a second title in as many years, or will we see a brand new team emerge from the Fall Classic? We've got a great panel and a loaded show, so sit back, relax, and strap it down. It's a special MLB Postseason edition of the Toss-Up. The best time of year. It is when average Joes turn into postseason heroes. Every pitch matters, every swing matters, and most importantly, every single one of my questions matters just a little bit more. Here to answer these burning questions is a special panel I have with me. Around the horn, we got Nick Rodecap, Daniel Marlowe, and Kelsey Middleton. Guys, thanks a bunch for joining me.
You're welcome. If I'm the first one answering a question here, does that mean my question is valued the least?
No, I think it's the most. You're at the top of the order, but we're going to recap. We're going to start with you with the divisional round. The ALDS, NLDS wasn't great, but Nick, I'll start with that Seattle-Detroit series. It was a classic. 2 extra inning games bookended it. That wild 15-inning affair that I mentioned at the top. And Seattle used nearly every pitcher. What were your takeaways from that series?
I think it pointed out just how important pitching is in postseason baseball, because you talk about a 15-inning game, that's nearly 2 full 9-inning games. Your bullpen depth is going to get tested. Ultimately, Seattle was able to pull it out. But what stuck out to me the most was Tarek Skubal. This guy is a pure competitor, and we knew how good he was in the regular season and how consistent he's been for the Tigers. But the question is, can he bring it to that upper echelon? And he gave it everything he had. Unfortunately, baseball's a cruel game, and everything he had still was not enough to lift the Tigers over the top because, as I said before, you need depth, and the Tigers unfortunately came up short.
Yeah, they didn't win game 2, and they could have taken a 2-0 series lead back to Motown. They didn't. Daniel, a quick follow-up there. What does it say about Seattle's pitching depth? Let's go to Seattle. We talked about Detroit a little bit. Seattle, that they were able to prevail in a long series like that with a couple extra inning games.
Seattle's pitching depth is one of the best in the MLB. I mean, they have a bullpen that you can get the ball to anyone, and they'll go out there and perform like a back-end reliever. Like, you could throw out any guy out there, and he could be a closer. You don't have to be Andres Munoz to be your closer. It could be Brash, it could be or Hancock. You could throw any one of those guys to be a closer. But their starting rotation, they're 5. You could make a claim that's one of the best in baseball, too. You got Wu, Castillo, Spire, Miller, all those guys. And a lot of times in postseason, you see a team use 3 starters with their advantage, and they'll kind of make up the rest of a bullpen. But they're using all 5. And you saw that in that 15-inning game where they used 4 of their 5 starters, and then they came back around to the Blue Jays series, and have only used 1.
Kelsey, I'm going to give you a quick follow-up to these 2 in this series before we move on to the next AL series. Cal Raleigh making that postseason debut, hit 60 home runs in the regular season, got that one, I believe it was game 3 that he hit that. What are your first impressions of the big dumper in the playoffs?
I think he's so impressive to pitch that 15-inning game and then go into the championship series and just absolutely kill it. He is killing it, and I hate to say it, but I mean, he could be the MVP.
He also has an MVP nickname. That's for sure right there.
Definitely.
If he doesn't have anything. Kelsey, I'm going to go back to you. We're going to shift to that AL East division round series between the Blue Jays and the Yankees. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. went off. 9 for 17, 3 home runs. I think at one point he was batting like .850 in that series into game 3. The Blue Jays take out the Yankees in 4. Is this what you expected from Vladdy?
Not at all. I mean, somebody had to step up with Bo Bichette being out, obviously, who's their biggest offensive producer. So him to step up and do, 529, 550, 1609, that's a crazy batting line. So I'm really impressed. I mean, out of the ordinary from his regular season production, but I loved what he was doing in the division series.
I mean, he's a $500 million man.
Right.
You got to expect that 1,600 OPS slash line.
That's why you pay him.
Yeah, and well, a lot of money. We were talking about the Yankees side. Another October exit. And I think you just saw that Kelsey rolled her eyes. Don't be fooled. She's wearing a Red Sox jersey. She is a Yankees fan. A little bit strange to me. But then another October exit, Daniel. Aaron Judge hit that big home run to extend the series in Game 4, but they fell short. They're just a year away from a World Series appearance, but is pressure building on Aaron Boone to win that 28th title for the organization?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, the pressure's always been there. I mean, you have a team that hasn't won a World Series since, I believe, 2009, and everybody's been wanting that 28th World Series. And you have an MVP caliber player in Aaron Judge. You got Goldschmidt was having a good year. Bellinger. You had a promising shortstop in Volpe who was supposed to make the make or break season, and he didn't. But Aaron Boone has been given a lot of time and time again, to put a team together. And with that, they have a good rotation and a good bullpen to go out there and even compete. They went to World Series last year and just barely fell short of the Dodgers. And now they're back to losing in the ALDS, and you don't know what's going to happen with Bellinger opting out of his deal, and a lot of guys kind of moving around and with question marks at certain positions, like shortstop and first base.
It is, George Costanza once said, the New York Yankees, Nick, your mustache, I think, would be good, but the beard. What say you about the Yankees' future?
The Yankees lose. That's what I say about the Yankees' future. I mean, until they fire Aaron Boone, I feel like nothing's going to change, Josh. And I know wearing a Cubs uniform, perennial losers in the postseason if they even make it there. But I was a Yankees hater. I'm not going to lie to you. I was disappointed that Cody Bellinger was not re-signed by the Cubs. I was not surprised because they don't like spending money. But I was thinking, okay, if their success hinges on anyone, it's going to be Aaron Judge. And that turned out not to be the case. The Yankees' starting pitching was dreadful. Just dreadful. I mean, Max Fried got lit up like a Christmas tree against Toronto, which I don't think anybody was expecting because usually pitching is going to win you games in the postseason. But Aaron Judge, I mean, he had a signature postseason moment, and it didn't even matter because the pitching staff couldn't stop anybody. They could not keep the Blue Jays offense quiet. And it's hard to keep pace when Vladdy Guerrero is going to hit over 500, but that's what he did. And ultimately, I think the Jays just slugged their way past the Yankees. They beat the pitching staff up night after night after night, and the Yankees could not keep pace.
That was one heck of a filibuster, by the way, because I know you can see it on the teleprompter. You've been dreading it. You can run. Yep. You can't hide. As Pope Leo said today, on perdido, the Cubs lost. That's my guy right there. But let's go to that Cubs-Brewers series, the I-94 series. It went down to 5 games, but the Cubs really didn't feel like they were in it ever in those games in Milwaukee. Where did the Cubs come up short? I think I know what you're going to say, but where did they come up short?
Yeah, starting pitching.
Yep.
And it's kind of a snowball effect, right? Because you're on the road, you're in a tough environment. If, say, you give up a big home run early, that gets the crowd rocking, and then they get into it on the pitching side every time there's a big strikeout. As much as I don't like to say it, Jacob Mizorowski looks like he's going to be a star for a long time. And he came up fired up after what looked like a routine ground out at the end of the 3rd or 4th inning. I think it was in Game 2. And I'm thinking, what is this guy doing? But you know what? You just got your first out in the playoffs, and you're facing a division rival, and they know that, you don't like each other. So, of course, if I was in that situation, I'd probably do the same thing. The Cubs were stagnant offensively for most of the second half of the season, and Kyle Tucker was not the same player. After he got hurt, he was playing, I think, with a fracture in his hand, and everybody kept trying to say that it was fine. But you could tell by the body language of the players in the dugout, especially in that Toronto series, I think in early, mid-August, somewhere around there, you could tell that they were just beating themselves up because they had great starting pitching from guys like Cade Horton, and then Horton gets hurt, and okay, you got Matthew Boyd, Shota Imanaga, who's given up more homers in the second half than anybody else, and they just did not have enough pitching. They barely squeaked by San Diego, and then Milwaukee blows them out a couple of times and hangs on, gets back to American Family Field, and wins at home again in Game 5. It's just difficult when you get down 2-0. You spend so much energy emotionally trying to get back into it that oftentimes, as Mike Woodson would say, you can't get over the hump.
You just have all the sayings, don't you? I mean, I'm going to potentially ask Daniel a follow-up question, then you say that. Daniel, I will ask you that follow-up question. Nick kind of alluded to it. Do you think the Cubs not going or spending at the deadline really cost them a trip to the NLCS this year?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Just because you have a lot of young players. You got Pete Armstrong, had a great first half. I mean, you can't predict what's going to happen second half, where he kind of fell off. Same way with Tucker and kind of the rest of their lineup. But they were a team that was kind of piddling at the deadline. They were in a race with the Brewers for the NL Central, and then they don't do anything. You have a Tucker who's you don't know if they're going to resign at the end of the year. You have a farm system that has overloaded the outfield position with guys like Casey, Alcantara, you can trade away for potential relief pitching or starting pitching, and they didn't move any of them. Whether I don't know if you want to move Tucker or not, but like I said, you don't know if you're going to be able to re-sign him. I was just watching Intentional Talk earlier, and it's a 50-50 chance. And so it's just one of those things you don't know. If you don't know if you're going to keep him, then don't keep him. I mean, I kind of noticed that. I thought they were going to trade away Tucker when they called up Casey, and they didn't. And you just kind of overload at the outfield position.
As much as I like trashing the Chicago Cubs, Kelsey, we got to get to the flip side. This Brewers team, they just keep finding ways to win. They beat you with the long ball that PCA tried to rob, even though it was 430 feet.
They play 50 feet in the air. I like the
motor. They play small ball. How dangerous does this Brewers team look right now?
I think they're very dangerous. They're young. They don't have much to lose. And I have it written down right here, the power of friendship. That's exactly what they are. Like I said, they have absolutely nothing to lose. They're capable of utilizing the long ball, but obviously AmFam is a very pitcher-friendly park. So we'll see if they're able to outpower the Dodgers offense that is big into hitting those home runs. So.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every Wisconsin team is the power of friendship, but you got the Packers who are just there.
Okay, Micah Parsons is not the power of
Well, yeah, not anymore, but they just kind of feel like it. I know Joe Cronin's listening to this right now. He's smiling at me as the Bears are mired in mediocrity. But you go from the power of friendship to the power of money in that other NLDS series. Daniel, Philly may have been that higher seed, but LA looked like the better team, the complete team throughout that series. Did that result surprise you at all?
No, not really. Just because the way I like to look at it is the NL West was filled with another team like the Padres who were competing for that NL West position. And even though they lost to the Cubs in the wild card, they still put up a good fight. It's their kind of pitching and their bullpen kind of fell off. But away from that, the Phillies are aging. They're an old team. They're one of the oldest teams in the league. And there's a lot of question marks around there. And the injury to, I believe it was Aaron Nola or Zach Wheeler, kind of hurt them. I mean, there was their ace. He was doing really good, and they lost him. That was one of their pitchers. And then, but the Dodgers their bullpen is okay, but their starting rotation is one of the best in MLB. And their depth in the lineup and their way to hit the long ball is amazing. I mean, it's just any nine of those guys in the lineup can hit it over the fence, and they showed that in that series. And then a couple of missed plays by the Phillies at the end of that game.
Well, Kelsey, there's obviously like utility guys. We're going to talk about one of them in our NLCS preview in the next block, but Freddie Freeman just continues to rake. What is it with him?
I don't know because I'm still very butthurt about last year. I'm very upset.
Yet she's wearing a Red Sox jersey.
I'm sorry. But can you repeat the question?
What about Freddie Freeman? Is it like in October that he just turns it on and does his little dance? I know Zach Browning's going to love it.
I have, and there we go again. I have absolutely no idea because he just knows how to show up. He showed up for the Braves, he's showing up for the Dodgers, and he continues to do it every single year. So.
Yeah, he's.
I mean, I would say he's just a pure hitter.
Yeah,
for
Freeman's
sure.
approach at the plate is so. I think of him and Nico Horner and their approach is kind of similar. I mean, how many times do you see those guys use the other field, shorten up, kind of old school stuff? You see so many guys just swing for the fences no matter the count. But Freeman is a guy who's been able to hit for average consistently, and that speaks to an approach that stands the test of time. It's kind of, elementary at face value. Take what the pitcher gives you. You see Freeman choke up, shorten his swing, and it works pretty well for him. And I think that's more consistent than trying to be all or nothing all the time.
I had a coach, whenever I played softball, he would tell us, you choke up on the bat, you lose 25% power, but you gain a lot more control of the bat. So
your on-base percentage goes higher. Nick, last one for this block. Some people called this the real NLCS series. The Brewers might have the best record in baseball, but it felt like the money. Did it feel like the winner of this series felt destined for the Fall Classic?
It certainly felt that way. I think that we were kind of looking at the two, kind of Cubs Brewers, and you had Philly and LA, and you're thinking, okay, whichever team comes out of Philly and Los Angeles, they've got a much easier path. And I think back to that wheel play that the Phillies kind of botched with the Dodgers, and that kind of felt like a turning point. It was early. It kind of felt like an inflection point, though, in that series. And you just look at the Dodgers, and outside of their bullpen, on paper during the regular season, they didn't have any weaknesses. That's what happens when you spend $1 bajillion, sure. But you still have to go play the games. You still have to have those guys perform. You got guys like Freddie Freeman leading the charge offensively, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto has turned into an ace for the Dodgers, and it's just they do not have any glaring weaknesses right now.
So Knicks Cubs are out of the picture. We have recapped the NLDS. So coming up after the break, we head to the wall and discuss our thoughts on the championship series and beyond. You don't want to miss it. So stick around. You're watching The Toss-Up. Welcome back to The Toss-Up. Let's begin with the series that's up as we tape this right now, Seattle and Toronto. The Mariners took both games at Rogers Center. Cal Raleigh launched his second home run of the playoffs in Game 2. The Big Dumper and crew are looking really good right now, Kelsey, don't you say?
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought the Mariners' depth would really be tested in this series, but Bryce Miller came out and said, hold my beer. He absolutely killed that first game with 1 earned run, just off of that home run from George Springer. And let's see, they're 2-0 headed back to T-Mobile Park, so we'll see what happens. They're really good at home, and Blue Jays haven't even seen Wu, Castillo, or Kirby. So.
Yeah, we talked about Vlad Guerrero with you, Kelsey. I'm going to go to Daniel right now.
Okay.
He is very quiet. I believe 0 for 7, Kelsey. That's what we talked about, not 0 for 10 like I messed up. 0 for 7, and that's why this series, you got our wall right here, folks. This is nice. That's why this series 2-0 in favor of Seattle.
The Blue Jays have kind of gone away from what worked for them. They get on base, they hit the ball. I mean, they're not really much of a home run hitting team. I mean, Springer hit that home run, yes, in that game for the leadoff, but then they were 1 for 23, I think, for the rest of the game after that happened. So it was just kind of one of those things where you got to go back to what was working for you, especially in that Yankee series. They got on base, they made runs, they created runs. They didn't force them to the home run ball. They made it work with the bats and just like getting on base. I mean, you can't score runs unless people aren't on base.
Nick, it's to you now.
Hey, it's not exactly rocket science. I mean, yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you a different question, but you can finish your thought if you want. We're going to do predictions after we do both previews, but be honest, with this Seattle pitching staff, is this series all but done?
It's really hard to come back from 2-0. We just talked about it. I know this is a best of 7, but still, you're down 2 games, so you've got a mountain to climb. T-Mobile Park has been waiting for this for over 20 years at this point. You think back to 2001, that Mariners team won over 110 games, I think, and they got jack squat out of it in October. They've been waiting for this. They are going to be rocking. It is really, really tough to go into T-Mobile Park and win right now. I think the Blue Jays have too high of a mountain to climb. It feels like this one is done and dusted. Give me the Mariners. Let's say in 5.
Oh, I didn't say predictions yet. I said predictions after.
I'm so confident I'll do it early.
We're in the ALCS still.
I know.
Let's shift gears over to the NLCS between the Dodgers and Brewers. It's going to flip. There it is.
Beautiful.
Like Seattle, the Dodgers went on the road to Milwaukee and took 2 games from the Brewers at American Family Field. Daniel, the Brewers suddenly find themselves in a hole, dropping the Freddie Peralta start on Tuesday. Do they have the resilience that they've shown all year to claw back in this series?
I think so, but I think the Dodgers are going to be a little bit more way more overpowering, I should say. And I might sound like a broken record here, but I said the Brewers were a team that also like to get on base. They play small ball, and they go up to the plate looking like they're trying to hit a home run, and they're lost. Like in that Cubs series, it was a little unnatural because I believe in Game 2 or Game 3, they hit 3 home runs. That was all their runs, and that's what they're trying to do now. They're trying to play a game that's not theirs. So I think they need to get back to what works for them, sit down, have a little discussion, and just get on base. But I think the Dodgers pitching staff is just way too overpowering for them.
Kelsey, the Dodgers are firing all cylinders on the road again. They're 4-0 away from home this postseason. Is their wealth of playoff experience just flexing its muscle?
It is, and I wrote here, I believe that Teoscar and Kike are boasting their postseason knowledge right now. They are absolutely killing it. Teoscar, what is he? He's had a couple home runs in the series and postseason like throughout. If Ohtani and Betts continue to struggle, then I think that they're going to have to keep picking up that extra slack. So,
yeah, and you did mention him. Kike Hernandez is doing his thing again, Nick. It's unbelievable. His 3rd multi-hit game of the postseason. Our good friend Zach Browning calls him Senor October. What is it about him makes so special? Quickly.
You know, I think Kike Hernandez is a guy who's been slightly below average in his career in the regular season, but he kind of talked about it earlier in October. Just get me there. and I'll do the rest. And that's what he did. He's on the roster, he's healthy, he's ready to go, and he's ready for the moment. And some guys, they just are able to meet the moment. And you would think more pressure, baseball's a mental game, it might be the other way around. But Kike Hernandez has shown time and time again that he can meet the moment when the lights are their brightest. And that's why you stick with him through the regular season, because you know if he turns it on in October, there are a few guys who are better at the plate.
All right, we're going to go quick fire. I think that was a quick pitch. I'm going to toss you the ball. You're going to give me your prediction of who's in the World Series and who wins and how many games. Kelsey, go ahead.
I'm going to say the Mariners win in 7.
Daniel?
Dodgers in 6.
Against?
The Mariners.
Nick?
Mariners over Dodgers in 7.
You can keep the ball. I'm going to have the Mariners and Dodgers in. And Joe, toss it to me. Oh, you're going to see it here in a second. Mookie Betts and the Dodgers, baby. Zach Browning is going to be happy for the second straight year. Happy house in our household. But that'll do it for this show for this week. Be sure to continue the discussion and see how our predictions panned out by following us on Instagram and Twitter at IUSTV Sports. With that, Joe, I'm going to take that ball back from you. There's only one thing left to do. Toss it up and let Nick hit it out of the
That's
park.
hurt a lot.
We'll see you next week. So long, everyone.